What's up, everybody, and welcome to a Friday playoff edition of Morning Cup of Hockey presented by Bet365. That's Colby Cohen. I'm Johnny Lazarus, and we have a whole lot to get into today. We got John Buccigross, good friend of the show, joining here any minute off the hop just to get into different narratives, storylines, things to look forward to throughout the rest of the playoffs. So we'll dive deep into those things with Bucci. 2 games last night. The Carolina Hurricanes have bored their way into the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't believe that. I've been one of the people I think that's standing against the whole Canes are boring take. They
You
actually
just
did put
said
out
they bored their way into
I was being sarcastic, you idiot.
Okay.
All right, go. What do you want to say?
No, that's fair.
Down my throat.
Listen, if I misread a situation and I interrupted you, I deserve to be called an idiot. Go ahead. That's fair.
Well, now I don't want to say anything else.
Okay. Well, you probably lost your train of thought, and now you're going to make excuses and blame it on me because
I was going to say the Jets stay alive, and now they have me believing that they could force a Game 7. What do you think?
Well, did you see yesterday that the Carolina Hurricanes had like a montage of screenshot tweets of everybody calling them boring? And I think Jordan Schmaltz was on there.
So I saw Blackburn on there. There was a lot of people on there. But that's something we haven't really been doing, though. I feel like we haven't been on that Canes are boring train.
Listen,
I don't think they're boring.
They're boring. I mean, they're very effective, but it's not super high event hockey. I mean, they are just so structured, so patient, so disciplined, and they look, Freddie Anderson at this point, what goaltender's been more consistently good than him in the playoffs?
Yeah, but you had a good point too, though. Like, has he really been tested as much as everyone else?
And that's what I said. I said that we'll find out how good playoff Freddie Anderson is after they play Florida, because that's the first time that he's going to feel.
I love how after they play Florida, it's not even gonna consider
what?
Yeah. Just keep going. Sorry.
Oh, you mean like consider the Toronto Maple Leafs?
Yeah. I love how you're just like when they play Florida. Yeah.
What a joke that team is. But yeah, like I mean, but he's been good. I mean, the Caps had some scoring chances in that series and they couldn't get it done. By the way, do you like my new Outwest half sip, which I bought, by the way?
Would you harass Wes for one?
No, I just went on the website and bought it. Listen, Wes hooks us up, so it's my pleasure to go on there and actually support him. I got to tell you too, this fabric, they must have like double brushed it or something because it is like buttery soft. And by the way, we're not doing a promo right now. I God's honest truth. I went on, I bought this. I bought the white one as well. So now I have a couple of these quarter zips. I told Wes they need to make a jogger, because this fabric and a jogger would be unbelievable.
Yeah.
So, and you know what else I think is really interesting, and like you can't blame it. I see D. Ely in the chat is already getting back after us. How is this boring? They hit hard. They play solid, impactful defense. Yeah, like listen, they're everything a winning team should be. But it's just low event. It's really, really conservative hockey, and there's nothing wrong with it because obviously they're winning and they're effective. Yeah. And Rod Brind'Amour has been nothing but consistent. But anybody who is not a Carolina Hurricanes fan would agree. Everybody else would agree.
I think we might have something here that Dealey didn't do on purpose, but we can actually maybe run with this and make it our own thing. The last sentence that he had: low scoring games are way better than bear league, no defense hockey. He meant beer league, but wrote bear league. We can just start saying the Canes play bear league hockey. We can make it into our own thing.
Listen, I do agree. Like low scoring playoff games are more fun. Like
he wasn't even listening to me.
Like a 3-2 game, but low event hockey is not fun.
But they get offense. They get chances. Like they generate.
Yeah, they just don't cheat.
It's not low event. It's not low event.
Cheating makes, like we say, like you watch a lot of these teams play. They have those nights where they cheat and they get they get loose defensively. So
I'm actually gonna disagree with. Oh, it's my brother-in-law. I saw a comment: 2025 Canes equal 2020 Islanders, and I was like, what an idiotic comment. It's my brother-in-law. But Josh, I fully disagree. Like the Islanders of 2020, 2021, like they would beat you 2-1. Like they didn't get as much offense as Carolina does. Like they weren't as exciting to me offensively. They didn't have talent top to bottom like the Hurricanes do. Like
You
they were a
see,
team that would score and then kind of sit back and trap and protect their lead. Carolina doesn't really sit back.
You see, we got Doogie, Jonny and Colby on the train home, and one of the rare times I get to watch live from Melbourne, Australia, coming in live to us from Melbourne, Australia. I love that.
It's pronounced Melbourne, you uncultured fuck.
Oh, okay. I've never been to Australia. Have you been to Australia?
No,
it's not Melbourne.
No, it's Melbourne.
Melbourne, Australia.
Yeah.
Interesting. You know what? You'd think with all the tennis that I watch, you'd think that I would know that because I generally I watch at least half the Australian Open every year. Although of all the majors, it's probably the one that I watch the least. I don't know what you're
I gotta take a second. I'm
okay. Why don't you read Butchie into the show? Because if you're gonna be too stupid to get through it, we'll just put you in timeout after you read Butchie into the show.
All right, so let's bring on friend of the show, John Buccigross. But before we do, we gotta give a shout out to our sponsor, Proraso, the most complete choice for shaving and beard care. Made in Italy since 1948, Proraso has been a staple of Italian culture and barbershops globally for 4 generations. So get 15% off at Proraso-USA.com with our promo code Hockey15 in all caps. Hockey15. I wonder where Bucci's coming at us from. What is that shirt?
I think it's a supplement company.
Oh, First Form. Okay, I thought that was an I. I was confused. Good morning, Bucci. Good to see you. Colby, I'm gonna kick it over to Colby because he's putting me in timeout. I'm way too
well. Melbourne,
right now.
Melbourne is how you say it with an Australian accent, Colby. It's okay to say Melbourne.
Okay, that's what I thought. Like
it's like people who say Toronto, but really it's no T, no second. It's Toronto.
Yeah,
it's like it's two N's, not a T at the end. So Melbourne.
Yeah, like whenever I see you guys covering the Australian Open, I've never heard like Chrissy Everett or any of that crew say Melbourne. I've always heard them say Melbourne. So that's why I got a little confused there. I'm surprised Jonny, who's probably doesn't even have a passport and has never left the state of New York, why he would know that, but good for him.
My ex-girlfriend
Johnny's idea of a passport is an easy pass.
Well, actually, I'm relying on my passport because I'm too lazy to go to the DMV and get the new license, so I have to use my passport to travel.
So no real ID.
The real ID, yeah. Luckily, Florida took care of that 4 years ago, so I've had that. That's good.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right, so let's talk about some hockey, Butchie, because the conversation you're walking into right now is are the Hurricanes boring? And we think that they're highly effective, but if you're not a Carolina Hurricanes fan. Hurricanes fans take exception to this comment, but it seems like everybody agrees, which is usually not the case, that it's not the most entertaining style. It's like watching the Devils in the 90s.
Yeah, I don't know. Funny, I mean, they don't have any superstar players, right? Guys, individual guys who take your breath away. So I guess you could possibly say that, obviously Aho's a really, 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 really good player. But other than that, they don't have these, explosive offensive guys individually, but a lot of teams don't have that. And so, if you're going to watch an Edmonton game and you see McDavid and you see Draisaitl, then that could skew. But I don't watch their games and say they're boring. I mean,
neither do I.
I mean, their home fan base is so good, and really the playoffs are about intensity and physical play more than they are artistic expression, to me anyway. And I think that's probably true throughout the history of the game. That's why some people succeed and some people like Mitch Marner don't, because it's a different type of game and you're valued differently than you are in the regular season. So fun. I just don't, and I see this and as you know, Colby, I'm not one to jump on the popularity train, so I don't really care. But I don't see that as because I love Rod Brindamore. Of course, I know all these people intimately in our job. It's so nice we get these coaches individually for 10 to 15 minutes every time we do a game. We can feel their palpability and their passion. And so certainly I just think a lot of it is the construction of the roster. You go back and look at the 95 Devils, they didn't have any transformational offensive players. They had a young Scott Niedermayer, but he was 21 years old. He was probably the most exciting guy that they would have on the roster as you look at the career. They didn't have Hall of Famers on that team. So you find a way to win. And if you have a group of collective guys who play the same way and play with that grit, then you get some goaltending, then you can do some things. And so I don't watch that and say this is boring.
So I agree, Bucci, that I don't think it's boring either. And Ian Drawn actually read my mind because I was going to ask you this question as a follow-up. How are we not at the point where we are calling Jacob Slavin a superstar? I feel like he could be considered one, even though it's not necessarily the pretty flashy kind. But with the amount of respect that he's gained across the league and what every player has to say about him and what we watch from him defensively, like he could be a defensive superstar.
Oh, he is.
Right. He is. And he made, I put him on my top 5 Norris Trophy official ballot this year.
Mm-hmm.
But offensively, he just doesn't produce offensively. He doesn't run a power play, which, is very important in the regular season and the postseason. He just doesn't have those offensive chops. Now you could say, okay, Evan Bouchard does, but Slavin is just as better at him defensively than Bouchard is offensively. So is it a wash? Maybe kind of, because again, preventing goals is you can't lose a game if you don't give up a goal, but of course you can't win one if you don't score one. So again, they're pretty even. So like you said, if you feel like that gap is the same defensively and it probably is, you're probably right. Then maybe deep philosophically we can say that Bouchard and Slavin are just about equal players, and that's something that an organization would have to value. And then will you see that success? Again, but that's hard because you're talking about 20 guys. So it's hard to really put true value on a guy. Is he helping you win a cup? Bouchard got to a game 7. Slavin's teams haven't yet. But again, we know that's because of McDavid and Draisaitl. So again, you'd have to factor all these things.
Yeah, I think I could build it. I honestly think I could build a whole team around Jacob Slavin. Like I think he could literally be a centerpiece for a team. Now, again, you need other pieces. Nobody's everything you just said is completely accurate, but I think that Slavin's contributions defensively, he's on the ice for half of a game, right? Mm-hmm. His contributions are so good defensively. The amount of plays, like I don't think there's a better player in the sport that closes plays down than him. Like you watch, and they showed it on the broadcast, and they picked it up a couple of times last night, and you see it if you're a Canes fan and you watch him left and right. He just takes away so much time and space when he's on the ice and closes plays off. And his stick is just as elite off defensively stick-wise as Nathan McKinnon's skating is offensively. Like it's that level of elite. And again, it's not the sexy part of the game, but I think you could actually build a team around Jacob Slavin. And like you make the argument, they've done that in Carolina and they haven't had the superstar. And look, I think people are counting. They just assume Florida is going to be back in the Stanley Cup Finals. Like, and maybe that's true, but not so fast. Well, I'm just saying, I'm not so fast. I don't think Carolina is a walkthrough of a team in the conference finals. I said that I just assumed Toronto was done. I did not say Carolina would be done in the conference finals. That go back to the beginning of the show. I did not say that, Johnny. So I'm with you, Butchie. Like I think you could actually make a case to build a team around a number 1 defenseman. Is he not? He's a number 1.
Right. And he's like a shutdown cornerback, like a Jarrell Revis, like that kind of play. That's how we look at people like Slavin. He's gotten 30 to 40 points before. It's not like, Chris Tanev is a similar type of player, but Tanev, again, no offense, no stretch passing, no getting the puck out of the zone. But in terms of zone entry denials, which are, again, that's a shutdown cornerback in the NFL. You can build around a shutdown cornerback defensively. That makes everybody else better. Makes his partner better and makes the forwards better. And so, yeah, like you said, once you build around that, then defensively you're a tough team to play against. You score, and they can just get some kind of offense, which they're getting from Svechnikov. Finally, he's been paid that way with that initial contract at a young age. They looked at him as this kind of guy. Then they can be a threat. And there's certainly, you got to think they're going to give better resistance to the Panthers if the Panthers finish the job tonight than Toronto would. Again, they don't have the offensive. They don't have a William Nylander. They don't have an Austin Matthews. They don't have a Mitch Marner. So there's they don't have a John Tavares just about. Aho's close, but still, that's the problem with Carolina. Now, can they get a guy to carry them and then get some kind of this depth scoring? You see other teams can Stankoven and maybe have a 4-goal series. Can somebody have a 3-goal series? That's what they're going to need.
Let me ask one more question and one more Slavin comment, Johnny, just to put a bow on Jacob Slavin.
Okay.
How many defensemen in the NHL would you not trade like one for one? For me, like I think Makar, and then I'm not sure who else. Like who else is out there that you wouldn't like? You think about the elite defensemen in the NHL. Like, are there any of them that if you could have Jacob Slavin, you'd say no, I want to keep my guy besides maybe Makar and Hughes?
That's
After
a good one.
Makar and Hughes,
It's a good
who are
question.
you not trading one for one? Yeah,
I was gonna add Hughes probably.
right.
But even him in the last 60 seconds of the game, you're up by one. He probably won't be on the ice. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where Slavin will be. But when you're down one, Slavin won't be on the ice.
Yeah.
But Hughes
Borgen.
will. So you got to kind of go back, and that's why we talk about Ray Bourque, right? The Bourques of the world were both up one, down one. He's on the ice. Lidstrom up one, down one, on the ice, and that's what an up one, down one defenseman is what I kind of call them. And so obviously Slavin falls just short of that. But you could say defensively, he's a pretty big gap up on Makar, right?
Yeah.
Even.
Mm-hmm.
In a down one situation. So, yeah, we thought McAvoy for a while had that potential, and maybe down one, he still has some potential, but offensively doesn't seem to lack the chops. But he definitely has more offense than Slavin.
Yeah.
So maybe at his peak, he could be a little bit ahead of him. But, yeah, you're right, Colby. It's there's not many. And they got him at a good bargain. They got him at $6 million. Makar is going to be making 14, 15 in a couple of years. So you could have two Slavins for one Makar.
Yeah, and I see all what you're saying in the chat. These are, Heiskanen, of course. Faber's a great name.
A good one.
I see someone said Miller. I know you're kidding. But there are definitely some good names you guys are throwing out. Hedman in his prime. But I do think it's a fair question to ask. Like it's something that gives you when you're like, wow, yeah, I do actually value Slavin that much, right, Johnny?
Yeah, and a good point by Drew. If you aren't on the ice in the last minute of a game with a lead, you shouldn't be winning Norris trophies. That's a pretty good comment.
That's the Erik Karlsson argument for sure, right? And and that's not a bad one because again, their job description is defense man.
Yeah.
Not offense man. Defense man. So that's their first priority. It's just the nature of the sport, whether it's soccer or whether it's hockey. That guy back. He's a defense man.
Mm-hmm. But Bucci, one last thing for me with Carolina, because you mentioned it a little bit with Toronto, and you made the comment about Svechnikov and putting up numbers in the playoffs versus like what he's done in the regular season. And again, like he's a guy that we talked about probably 2 weeks ago because he's one of those guys, second overall pick, has been in the league for almost like 5-6 years now. Hasn't necessarily put up that 80-90 point year, but every year come playoff time, he seems to elevate and be the Canes' best forward. Like when you look at his playoff numbers, maybe outside one of those playoff seasons, I think he had like 5 points in 14 games. I don't have it in front of me, but I looked at it earlier. I mean, this goal still, Logan Thompson has to save that, but it's Svechnikov coming up big, and he's got 8 goals in 10 games this postseason. He's always flirted with that point per game mark in the playoffs. And on the Siren podcast, corrected me, it's 7 years. But you talk about Marner and all these guys in the regular season, like Svechnikov doesn't get as much love as those guys do, but come playoff time, he's the one performing. I think, maybe we need to flip this whole script of that you make your money in the regular season, but your name in the playoffs, when it seems like everyone's getting frustrated now with how much these guys make, yet come the big moments, they shy away. So why is that even a thing?
Yeah, no, I agree. As these owners and GMs try to construct teams, obviously they construct to get to the playoffs because the windfall is so great financially. Mm-hmm. So they're gonna keep an eye on that. But in terms of truly building a team for the postseason, it's funny they don't do that more, and I don't think they really do that. Once the playoffs end and it's summer, now they're thinking about just getting to the playoffs and who can help me do that. But yeah, Svechnikov's an interesting guy. Of course, he had that famous fight where Ovechkin, where he got knocked out, and that can really certainly affect a guy's career and his self-esteem and a lot of things. He's a great guy, great personality, and sometimes you have to get more of a dog in you, right? This time of year, and you got to be more of a jerk. And not that he's that, because he doesn't play like that. But you would think Washington could have taken him out with Wilson and multiple guys, pounding on him, wearing him down. Can he take that? Because again, if he sees the Panthers next round, he's going to see that right up and down the lineup. And he's going to get hit and bumped and cross-checked, and Marchand's going to be in his ear, and Tkachuk's going to be in his ear, because they probably think that he can be rattled. And so he'll be a target. So I kind of hope that, the Panthers move on, because I want to see him against them.
Cool. All you.
Yeah, listen, I think that this conversation that is sort of ongoing, and every year we're sitting here with certain narratives, and it seems like the same teams are finding their way in and the same teams are finding their way out, and I think a lot of it has to do with consistency in the net, and Logan Thompson, we really praised for his first round series out of Washington, Butchie, and I got to tell you, like, very disappointed in him in the second round. And it's not that he didn't make saves, it's he let in too many soft goals. You can't let a softie in every game when you're getting almost no production from Protas, McMichael. Carlson had a really tough series. He seemed like he was on the wrong end of every big play. Ovi got really quiet in this round. And it makes me wonder, and I'm looking at this team and I'm like, maybe I overvalued the size and the strength of their forward group and the lack of quickness. And then you marry that to the fact that Logan Thompson came back down to earth, I guess we would say. And I kind of wonder from your perspective, like, great season, Spencer Carberry maybe wins the Jack Adams, whatever, but where do they go from here? Because they're not getting any younger. They're lacking sort of that dynamic forward. Dylan Strome, great regular season. When it got tough, got really quiet. That East-West game just didn't work against Carolina. And I'm just sort of trying to dissect here for our Caps listeners, like, where do they go from here? Not that this was a disastrous season, because it wasn't, but they got really exposed in this round against the Carolina Hurricanes.
Yeah, they're probably starting to lack, like you said, top line people. Strome probably fits as a good number two. Even McMichael, probably a good number two, second line kind of guy. You mentioned Wilson's
PLD too. I forgot about. I didn't even mention. He's got an Austin Matthews missing persons report out for him as well. PLD, like, holy shit.
That's not going to happen, right? I mean, how much better is Lundell than him? Like that again, we keep going to the Panthers as the barometer, which we should. They've been in 2 straight finals, defending champs. When you can throw a Lundell out there on the third line, just a difference than someone like Dubois. And but you're right. In a top end defenseman, Chychrun, I think, is that guy's an athlete, man.
He was really good.
That moves he can make as a defenseman in the offensive zone on his offside, how he can shuffle and get all that speed, like, he's a stud. So if he can continue to grow and have a good 4-year window now they get a good shutdown with him, whether it's Roy or someone. And then can they find someone else? Sandin's probably not that guy. A little small, had a real bad game last night. So they got to find a top 4 as Carlson ages out. Wilson's going to really age quickly with as physical as he plays.
Heavy game.
It's just you can't whether it's Larry Bird in basketball or Cam Neely in hockey. When you play that way, there are consequences, and you will age quickly and get old quickly. Ovi, do they go one more year and use his slot, or can they take less from him? Do they try to move on from him in a graceful way to try, like you mentioned, to get more speed? I think Leonard needs a full year in the American League to learn the pro game.
Wow, really?
He's got to be a rat. He's going to have to play like a rat.
At least, yeah.
He's not a power forward in this league. He's too small. He needs to play like a rat, a Marchand type of game, and use his great hands. We know he has great hands, but he's got to somehow get closer to the net. He's shooting from 20, 25, and those are not going to go in. Defensemen, we saw it with Slavin last night. Leonard had a chance and then stick out in the net, So he's got to learn the pro game, I think, and go down and learn a role and not do it. Now, they could maybe try to do it at the NHL level next year. They could try to do that for sure, and coach him up with Carberry and his staff and player development at the NHL level. That's possible in the regular season, and that might happen. And
why did Chris Kreider just walk into the NHL though? Like, like
speed. He could skate. He could fly.
But like, why does everybody, him and McAvoy, they just walked in and they were impactful.
Well, Kreider had the extra year. He took the 3rd year, right?
He did. That's right.
So now he's really a man.
21 years old instead of 19.
Right. A little bigger than Leonard, a little taller, a little heavier. And we're, like I said, and we've interviewed Leonard walking around Colby at college in the Frozen Four. He's just not a big, imposing kid. He's just not. Now, could he gain 10 more pounds and maybe, but he can't sacrifice his speed. So like I said, I think Marchand's the model for him. And not complete Marchand, He doesn't have to, French kiss Ryan Callahan to get his point across, but just play like that. He's got to get in the inside. Martin St. Louis, Brad Marchand, whatever it is. And I think he can do that maybe at the American. Like I said, maybe he can do it at the National League level. But I just wonder if a good stint in the American League next year, good 40 games.
When does that ever hurt a guy?
I don't
Have
think
you ever
he's
heard
ever
of that
I don't think
hurting
that's
a
gonna
player?
happen. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't.
No, it might. No, you're probably right. He's a high number one pick, Johnny. It's rare that you would do that. But look at the numbers, and it's just he should have had a bigger impact. Other guys have come in and done something.
But to your point, Bucci, also, just one thing, Colby, quick, just like to Bucci's point, if there is one AHL team to go to, it is the Hershey Bears.
Great.
They're the one team that you can go down and actually get the time you need.
Right. Great crowd, juice in the crowd, good organization. They have a model in place there that works. There's good players down there. There's vets down there. So I just don't think it'd be terrible. But like you said, next year preseason camp, it's only a couple of weeks. Maybe they'll see something and okay, he can do this. He's going to figure this out over the summer. We'll break down some film with him once in a while. See if we can figure this out. And
New York Marine is commenting in the chat that Kreider played 54 games in the American League in his first 2 seasons. But okay, and I forgot that, so I do appreciate you pointing that out. But I do remember him.
I actually didn't know that either.
I do remember him being good in the playoffs right away. I do remember that. And Charlie McAvoy might have even played a couple of games in Providence as well. But I remember he walked into Boston in a playoff series and was fearless with ice in his veins and defending and offensively and look. Think about this, Johnny. Like Cole Caulfield made the NHL, struggled, went to the AHL, figured it out for a few months, and then came back and he never really looked backwards, right? And so you rarely hear about a player that got hurt by spending a little bit of time in the American Hockey League. And look, I'm as guilty as anybody of saying Ryan Leonard's NHL ready. He can come in and make an impact. Now, I thought he looked a little bit better the other night. Like he was more impactful.
Yes, I agree.
They put him on the second power play, which he hadn't sniffed much power play time in the NHL since he came up. He really hadn't.
Right.
And I do think when you get a young player on the power play and you give them the opportunity to have touches, that helps you build confidence. And I think that can open the keys for a player feeling good and fitting in right away is power play time. And I know it's a catch-22 because but as a power play guy, you get your touches on the power play. You build your confidence on the power play. So I did think Leonard actually played pretty well in that those final 2 frames when he got back in and he got a little bit of power play time, a little bit more noticeable like we've seen him be before.
Yeah, a little closer. I agree. A little closer.
Bucci, my last thing for you, honestly, we talk about Ovi's record a lot this year. We talk about Austin Matthews a lot and his goal scoring. Something that doesn't get talked about enough, I feel like, was Ovi's performances also in the playoffs, even though it can be compared, because we said it earlier on the show, the stat that Ovi only made it past the second round once.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And that was the year that they won the Cup. The Matthews criticism, the lack of goal scoring comes second round, the team not being able to get past the second round. Ovi never really, well, I guess once he got the Cup, he stopped getting that. But it feels like this is similar to what Ovi was getting a little bit in his career. But do you think it was close to as bad as what Matthews is getting, or is it just almost worse because Matthews hasn't really been scoring?
No, Ovi was never the problem. Go back and look at his playoff numbers. Monster playoff performer. He never did this. Obviously this year now he's 40 years old. And so, obviously he slowed down. But go back to his numbers. He always produced massively in the postseason. His numbers pretty much transformed from regular season to playoff. Again, look how many Hall of Famers has he played with. Probably hasn't really played, Backstrom will be close, but of course he would only get in because he played with Ovi. But certainly he was a really good player.
147 points in 161 games, 77 goals, 70 assists, +3.
He was criticized for his defensive play, though. I feel like
for sure.
21 minutes of ice time in the playoffs. Just to paint that for you.
Yeah, he always brought it. And again, their goaltending has never been elite, right? So it's tough because even Gretzky, after he left Edmonton as a young man, he was late 20s. He only made it past the second round once. So, it's hard. First of all, it's hard, and it takes a team. It takes 18 guys. And so, but no, he always produced. He was never the problem. But you're right, maybe defensively and buying in, kind of like the Yzerman thing when Scotty Bowman came and taught, and just like Jack Eichel kind of did in Vegas, and Austin Matthews is doing it now in Toronto. He just needs to also score. And like I said, all the whiffs he had, whether it's an injury or he has the yips, but you wonder, after the season, is he's going to come out and say some sort of major injury that's going to require surgery, because it's just weird to see him come down and just whiff on a puck. That's happened multiple times. And I just wonder if it is injury or it's a combination of being nicked up and just somewhat having the yips a little bit. It's kind of weird.
I look at will and determination, and I think it's missing with some of those guys. Craig Berube, he had such a great line, and I've already mentioned this on the show once, but in the playoffs, you can't look for space. You got to create your own space.
That's a good one.
And those guys are just looking for space out there, him and Marner, and you can see they're spectators offensively. They're offensive spectators, and that's the difference between people are coming down on Jack Eichel right now because he had one goal in the playoffs. And listen, come down hard on him. One goal is unacceptable for Jack, but Jack won a cup. He carried his team through. He was the best player in the playoffs one year when he won a cup. And, you're never going to call him a spectator. He might not score, but that guy is far from a spectator.
Absolutely.
He's give me the puck right now, where Austin Matthews almost seems like, let somebody else have the puck, right? So I don't think that it's apples to apples when you're talking about those two guys, Johnny.
And again, I'm not trying to make a comparison here, but I'm thinking about, because everyone keeps saying 9 years this, 9 years, 9 years, 9 years. Like, I'm pretty sure the Avs and McKinnon, before they won their cup in 2021, in the second round, they had a 2-0 lead on Vegas. Vegas wins 4 straight. Nathan McKinnon in his post-game presser, been in this league for 9 years, haven't won jack shit. But the criticism, again, I guess Nate performed better in the playoffs. Is it just this much louder? It just is because it's Toronto. Like, I'm not even going to ask that question. It just feels that much more magnified. But like these guys, Ovi took almost a decade. Nate, almost a decade. Like, it's just when you think about it, peel back the curtain.
No, because during this run, you had Tampa, who was just a prime team with the Hall of Famers all over the place, and now they have Florida. So, for 6 years in a row, 6 of these 9, you had a team that just was put together better by luck and by good decisions, better than Toronto's was. They just, they're more complete teams these last 6 years. 3 Tampa Bay, 3 Florida. And that's not Austin Matthews' fault or Mitch Marner. It's accident of draft year, who has a draft year when, who's available. So a lot of it is, just bad timing on their part to go against these organizations who are built better than they are. Bobrovsky, Vasilevsky, the last 6 years. These are 2 Hall of Fame goaltenders. Yeah. And then Tampa had Kucherov and Point. Just to put on the line the type of players, the variance of players they have, as opposed to Toronto's, who are a little more closer to the same Nylander, Marner, Matthews in personality. They're 3 quiet kids. Nylander's got a lot of swag, but he doesn't talk, and he's been outstanding. He looks like a different gear than his teammates. This hasn't quite finished, but hitting posts and getting breakaways. But they're all 3 quiet kids who aren't really alphas in the truest sense. So where Florida has Kachuk, Tampa Bay had JT, they had Pat Maroon and Corey Perry and even Stamkos, who's like a CEO.
Shattenkirk was on one of those teams, and he's
and then they throw guys like that in, and so and then obviously Cooper's a great coach, and Maurice, and Toronto's now trying to get there with Berube, who's certainly in that conversation. So I think it's like you said, I think it's more accident. It's not. We shouldn't just go look to them. We have to look at the whole situation. Yeah. And it could flip. Like, they could flip, and they could win a couple cups here in the next couple of years as Tampa ages out. Certainly, the problem is Florida.
Don't get ridiculous.
Florida is still in their 20s. That's the problem. People don't realize these guys are 27, 26, 27, 28.
They got a
a 3-year window here.
I know. They have a little run left. So, all right, I want to go to the other series with you, Butchie, because you called a lot of games in Winnipeg in the playoffs this year. I feel like you were there quite a bit. Is that a fair statement? You did what, 2 or maybe 3? Okay, you did 2.
Yeah, 2 there, 2 Toronto, 1 Ottawa. Yep.
Okay, so you watch that series and you watch how good Winnipeg was last night, because that was about as good and as complete an effort as that team has shown us in since the playoffs started. You smothered them defensively. You got back, and you looked like the regular season Jets that break the puck out with their fucking eyes closed. and they back pressure so hard so they don't give up much. They protect their goaltender, and when they needed the goaltender, which wasn't a ton, but enough, he made saves.
Yep.
You've been in that building for playoffs, right? I never have. I've been in that building for regular season, never playoffs, right? What is it about that team at home and why Connor Hellebuyck can't stop a beach ball on the road, but at home is events and a freaking goaltender? What is it?
It's kind of interesting. Winnipeg's the smallest rink in the league. So if you're an opponent, everything must seem bigger. The ice must seem smaller. Hellebuyck must seem bigger just because the rink is smaller, right? It's the smallest rink in the league. By the
way. That's their American League building, and I have played in that building, Butchie. It does feel like
it's the Hartford Civic Center. That's right. It's the Hartford Civic Center. And then you go to Dallas, which is a Walmart superstore, right? It's gigantic. And so many more people, and it's louder, and everything for Dallas probably seems bigger. The ice probably seems bigger. Hellebuyck seems smaller. Hellebuyck probably seems Hellebuyck probably seems smaller. Is there silicone in the ice? What's going on here? It feels like it's much bigger. So I think that is part of it. That disparity between home and away for the Jets, where they just must feel like there's less ice. But you're right. And an interesting thing about the playoffs for any player is when a guy comes back injured, like Ehlers did, it's going to take a while. Now he's really starting to go now, and he's an important part of their team.
Beautiful.
Obviously. He'll be a UFA
last night.
Be a big UFA addition for somebody this postseason, whether it's a team like Chicago, San Jose, who might really overpay him, or a team like Boston, who will offer, hey, let's play in the first line with Pasternak and some. He's going to have so many options for a really good contract. And this is the most, his last big contract in the league. And so to get him back going but it is a lot like, there's a PGA championship going on this weekend. A team can shoot 64 one day and then shoot a 74, right? It's kind of the same way. A couple guys have a tough game, and we all don't have great games, whatever sport we play. And so that's going to happen. But last night was that was their 63, like a golfer will have it this weekend. But most of the time you're in 68 to 71, and you're trying to battle to get there. And then hope you get a break, hope you get a save. Like you said, I think Hellebuyck was close to 3 goals, 3 saves above expected or something, which is subjective stat. But that shows that, he made a couple point blank glove saves and kept his team shut out. So now it's a great – this series in him is the best, to me, the most theatrical part of these playoffs because of the road home disparity. We're looking forward to see how he's going to play. We're looking forward to see how Toronto will respond, right? So that's what's fun about these playoffs. Let's get deep, create storylines, and then see what happens in this reality show.
Well, let me ask you this too, Booch, because I hear the argument also sometimes in the playoffs, your goalie can't be your best player. It has to be like your goaltending has to be good, but you can't have your goaltender be your best player. So if you're saying one player on Winnipeg is the guy to get them through the playoffs, who is that guy? Is it Kyle Connor? Is it Mark Scheifele? Is it Josh Morrissey? Is it Nikolai Ehlers? Like, do they have a guy outside of their goalie that can get them through? Like, I know they're pretty well-rounded.
Yeah, well, they're like the Devils. We keep going back to 95 Devils. Look at that team. It's a well-rounded team that kind of goes in the same direction, gets goaltending, and then they can. And then, especially back then, it was a low-scoring sport, so that anybody has a chance. And then you somehow you find your way to 16 wins. And so, no, for sure, that's going to be their recipe is Hellebuyck. He's going to have to be great. He's going to have to be Vezina worthy.
But how far can that get you?
It can get you all the way.
Ask Igor Shesterkin.
That's what I'm saying. It can only get you to the conference final.
No, for sure. And that's why that might happen. It was like they go up, they go against McDavid and Draisaitl, whoever it is, then it probably won't be enough because they have those guys. And that's why I would bet on them.
Vic says J.S. Jaguar
in Game 7.
Yeah. It came close. 2003. Yeah. I was there for that one. And they had, Steve Rushin and these guys, but they had
Francois Beauchemin on defense. Remember him?
But Paul Correa was their star, and he could provide that moment. But again, to go on the road, Game 7 against and that Devils team was again a really good team. Probably I'm trying to think, probably a touch better than the 95 team actually by then, because Niedermayer was full form and Elias was certainly a really good player. And so that's how it can get you there. if he's that good. I mean, Tim Thomas was the Bruins' best player when they won their last cup. He was unbelievable.
That series should have ended against Montreal in the first round. He makes a save in overtime. Neil, I don't know if you're in the chat today, because I know you're a Bruins guy. With the paddle of his stick against Brian Giunta, the team's gone home. They're going. Yeah. They're going on their vacation if he doesn't make that save. And he did it night in and night out in that playoffs. And it
like
was
940 save percentage. Yeah, I mean, he was way up there. So, and they don't win without him. So,
do you think that Winnipeg can go extend this series to 7 games? Butchie, what's your expectation here going back to Dallas for Game 6 for this one?
I think they can. Dallas is not a big team outside of Rant. That's why they really needed Rantanen, because they a lot of small guys. And Wyatt Johnson's got kind of lost a little bit. We don't really notice him a lot, young and slight. And now Winnipeg, as the series goes on, and they can pound and pound and pound, and Lowry's starting to find his physical game again. He kind of lost it early, had it against St. Louis, going up against Shen. To me, that was still the best moment of the playoffs for Shen and Lowry, and those early Blues Jets games were awesome. And they're going to have to figure that out. And I think coming off this type of win can only help them. Okay, if it was a 5-4 win, then go back. But this is like, that's us. Well, let's just take that on the road. These are professionals. These guys are so good. And if Dallas can just slips a little bit, then it can be a close game late. And that's all the Winnipeg has to host for, a close game late and get a bounce, a Svechnikov goal like yesterday. That goal could have easily been saved, that shot been saved. And then the Capitals win, and now it's 3-2, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that changes. So that's what Winnipeg has to hope for. It's close in the third period. Will we get a goal like that? Will we get a break like that? Because that's the great thing about last night's game that I didn't find boring in the Capitals and Canes was the pace was unbelievable. There was zero ice, and everyone was competing really hard for each ice, trying to get that chance to have a chance to rip a shot, and no one had time to do that. And so, and that's what Winnipeg is going to have to make that game. And so, they played really well too in Game 5. Like, they were the better team. In Dallas. Like, that's a game they should have won. But again, Hellebuyck let that one in, and then from there it got away. But so I do think they can go in and win that game.
Yeah.
Ice Klub said Game 5 went exactly how it needed to for Winnipeg to feel confident moving forward, and just the exact opposite of how Game 5 went for Toronto.
But Johnny, you always say you don't believe that there's momentum game to game in the playoffs. I mean, you've stayed firm with that.
Fully agree. You're not going to see that Dallas team you saw last night come tomorrow night. That's not going to be the same team.
It's possible. But, it's possible.
But with that said, one road game. Just win one.
Well, start by winning a period. I mean, literally, just win the first
period. Right.
Yeah.
I do think a goalie's confidence can go from game to game, but I don't necessarily think the team's play translates from game to game.
I agree. That's why it's so hard for goalies and Logan Thompson. Like, he's never had this kind of stress before. For the last month? Yeah, almost a little more than a month. Every night, every day, he is tired. He's thinking about the last game, thinking about the next game. Man, that is hard for guys who haven't been through it before.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so before we let you go, I want to just talk to you about some of the coaching and general manager things going on around the league. Like, your good friend Ken Holland gets hired. Are you surprised that he isn't bringing in his own coach, and that he gave Hiller and the confidence and said, nope, he'll be my coach for next year? They had a meeting. They talked for a couple of hours. It's kind of rare, I feel like, when that happens, because GMs have a clock and they want to probably make sure, like, I don't know, I guess you could look at it. They usually get 2, maybe 3 hires. So maybe this buys Holland a little bit more time.
Yes, because you're mulligan.
This isn't his coaching hire. So he maybe buys himself an extra year of goodwill on the job. But, are you surprised that's how that situation played out in LA?
A little bit, but then I'm like you said, okay, it gives me a mulligan. 2, I just got the job. I got to evaluate everything in this organization. So let's wait and see. I can give my owner a solid by not having him write a check for a year. I save him a couple of $1 million. Otherwise, paying this guy and paying a new guy. What kind of team? Obviously, they're going to transform their team a little bit, right? So what kind of team am I going to end up with? I have my own vision, but sometimes there's only certain guys available. I would like to get that guy, but I got this guy. So that means we're going to play this way. So what coach is best now with this roster? So I think he wants to flip the roster first, then hire the coach, right? Because you don't know exactly what your new team's going to look like. You have your vision. Ken Holland likes big defensemen, right? And so for sure, he's going to build from the goalie out. Do I like my goalie? Can I lean on him? Probably. He'd probably stay with him. But then he's going to go piece by piece, and this is what I want, and then I'll hire the coach. Obviously, they want to spend to the cap. Kenny has great relationships with every other GM, so he's able to pull off some of these trades. You know, he can get Matthias Ekholm in Edmonton. He can play the long game with some of these guys and figure that out. He knows when you have to act quickly and when you can wait, and he has respect from other GMs, so he's going to be able to, and that's why they hired him. His institutional knowledge and relationships throughout the game can help him get the players that they need now. What's that last little rung we got to go up here to compete out west? And they might start to see a window if Colorado has some issues filling out their roster, their lack of depth. Vegas maybe starts to age out defensively. They don't really have any super duper young guys coming, right? So they're probably going to age out quickly unless they figure something out. Edmonton, who knows what's going to happen? And who knows? Maybe his relationship with Connor McDavid might help them. Connor might wake up and say, I want to go to Los Angeles.
I want to be like Wayne Gretzky.
I want to be like Wayne Gretzky. You know, I've done all I can here. I'm in this tiny little
Close
bubble.
Your ears, D White. Close your ears.
You know, so it all matters. You want a guy like that. You want a power player like him if you're looking to make that step out west. And there could be an avenue out west for them to be the team coming up here in the next 3 to 4 year window. As you know, Byfield, if he can become that star, and obviously Kempe's in his prime, and it's going to be a free agent site for people, I'm sure. So yeah, that's why you hire that guy. But yeah, if you go back originally, I think it buys him time to get his roster before he hires the coach that's best for that roster, and save his owner some money.
Yeah. What about the Boston? I mean, we talked about Tocchet. LA has been hired. We talked about Adam Foote yesterday briefly, but there's still Boston, Chicago, Pittsburgh, Seattle, and the Islanders.
Wow.
All have.
The Islanders have a coach right now still.
But they have a general manager need, right?
Yeah.
Boston is interesting to me. Don Sweeney's a methodical guy, and so, but I'm curious, like, what's going on with them in Chicago and even Pittsburgh? Like, I don't hear a lot of rumors about any of those teams. Maybe even like it seems less rumory this year, I guess, with the who's going to go where. Now that Tocchet has landed and Carl has said no,
right? Where
are these other 4 teams and then the Isles with their GM? Like, what are your predictions on this, Butchie? Because you're generally good at that type of thing.
Yeah, I wonder if this means that a lot of people were in on Tocchet. Maybe Boston was in on some of the big fish. And as they lose them, okay, now we go back to plan B. And then obviously if there's still assistant coaches still playing, then as teams get eliminated, then they'll quickly hire them. And maybe they already have a behind-the-scenes handshake agreement with the assistant coach's agent or representative where they, okay, yeah, when we're done, we'll get you. So that's what's probably happening here. I think as you see these teams get eliminated, like Washington or Toronto, assistants, they'll get a job next week. Like that's what they've been waiting for. Boston, I wonder if they were in on a couple people and they have this, I don't know if Peter Laviolette is a fallback plan way down the line, or if they're going to go with a first timer. Because right now we're kind of in that territory with the Bruins. It's either a guy who's been around for a long time or a first timer. And I'm sure, and again, they don't know their roster yet because the free agency isn't here yet. They have cap room. So it's Boston's in a weird spot for a coach.
Yeah, but also Boston's one of those organizations that can have that quick turnaround, right? Like I know the pipeline probably isn't there. Maybe that job isn't as attractive as the other ones might be, but I still think Boston might be more attractive than like Pittsburgh right now, than Seattle right now.
For sure.
Chicago is interesting. But of those 4 teams, like Boston's probably the number one choice, right?
I think so. But, you know, Chicago, I'm still pretty bullish on Chicago with what they have.
It's a good job. A lot of money. If you want, if you got the name, you could get a lot of money. You have job security, in my opinion, like when you go to Chicago, because this is like Kyle Davidson is now at a couple of hires, right?
Right.
So now they're together. Danny Wirtz is not gonna Kyle Davidson, I think, still has a really long leash with Danny Wirtz. It's not Rocky anymore. It's Danny.
You got Pasternak, McAvoy, Swayman. You have
for sure. That's a great 3, right?
You know, like that's
superstar trio.
It's probably the best choice.
Yeah. But you look at Chicago and you've got Bedard, and I know he's okay. Like, Bedard, the kid Nazar looks legit. We weren't sure about him. Now, is he going to be a playoff player? Who knows? But boy, he looks like he's going to be a regular season stud. Rinzel, don't be shocked if Rinzel has to go play in the American League a little bit. We see guys come up, like, have a really good little stretch, then need him. But lo and behold, Rinzel is going to be an NHL player. Lev Shunov looks like he's going to be an NHL player.
For sure.
Vlasic is a stud. He's a Jacob Slavin, on the Jacob Slavin track. He's never going to score 80 points, but he's going to end up being one of the most valuable defenders in the National Hockey League who can move the puck and who can chip in a little bit, right? It's not like there are things to look at in Chicago and say, I could see a plan forward here. So and it's Chicago. It's still an attractive job. Like, I think if Woodcroft, like, that would be a good option. Why wouldn't you take that job?
It would. Oh, he would, obviously. But yeah, that would be. I kind of like that combination there because he has some experience, still young, but certainly they need someone to unlock Bedard. They need a real seasoned coach to do that. Someone that can have a relationship with him, kind of the old NFL head coach quarterback relationship, to see what they can get from him. But yeah, the back end looks great. I agree with Rinzel. Maybe go down the American League, be the number one guy, run the power play, and really just let him be free for 50, 60 games. And instead of being a fourth guy or something. But unless they put him right number one next year and run the power play. But I think you're right, Johnny. He's got a pro-looking game there. Mm-hmm. And they'll be a free agent destination because of the city, and there'll be a college free agent destination as well. One of those guys ever slipped through the cracks because again, it's the college free agents usually like to go to nice cities like Boston, New York, Chicago to start their career.
Yeah. Bucci, I don't got anything else for you. Colby, you have any final thoughts before we kind of let you go? I mean, you've been on here with us for like 45, 50 minutes, which is always, we always give you, or you actually give us
free labor.
We always ask you. Yeah, exactly. But I feel like asking you, like, you're always someone who's creative and comes up with good storylines.
Just so you guys know, I'm having an issue with my mic, so I had to go back to my computer sound for a second. So if you don't hear me for a second, I'm trying to.
I got you. We can hear you.
We got you. But we talked about storylines, narratives, all that kind of stuff. Which one right now has been your favorite?
Playoffs or
yeah.
It's again right now it's probably Hellebuyck and the disparity between home and on the road, and also with the Olympic question, which is enticing with the two goalies who are probably fighting for the job. If Ottinger comes back and outplays him tomorrow, he'll be the starter going into the Olympics. I think he probably will be. But if Hellebuyck suddenly comes back and has a great road game and then finishes it off, does he keep that number one position going into the Olympics next year? So that's I enjoy that. I love the draft. I like all drafts and all sports. I do enjoy that stuff about the future and what teams might do. Mm-hmm. The coaching, and it's been a great hot stove coaching playoff year. It just enhances the sport that we can have that on off days or during the day. We can talk about the coaches, and then at night we have the games. So, certainly the Winnipeg thing and the Toronto thing going on there, what might happen and the repercussions of where Marner might go. There's a lot of juicy stuff out there, being the Olympic year, being Toronto, being the UFAs, and the sport with the cap growing keeps it in a bullish mindset. So we're in a growth mindset, which makes even more possibilities, more teams. Will there be a team in Houston? Imagine Houston-Dallas rivalry. So the sport, I think, is in a real rich content position.
Yeah. All right, Butchie, you're the best. What do you got going the rest of the day? Gym, golf? What are we thinking today?
Yeah, I already had the back workout. I'm up early. I get to the gym by 7 a.m. these days, so I had a good back workout. Now I'll make a nice big breakfast. Maybe get the chainsaw, cut down some trees out back. We're still clearing the back. Golf yesterday.
Cut some
good
trees
round
down
yesterday.
And help build the porch.
The porch should be done. We just got to put some shingles on it, and the speakers and the light and the front porch is done. I like porch. I'm a big porch guy, big front porch farmer porch guy.
So, I can't wait to see it. I remember you showed me the blueprint, so I can't wait to see as you embark on this remodel journey here.
Yeah, then we got to gut the entire. Someday I'll have an awesome background for you guys, not this 1986 wooden closet look. It's coming soon.
Yeah. All right, pal. Listen, love you. You're the best. We'll see you on ESPN soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, like you guys. Keep it up.
I'll give a little context to what Butch and I are talking about there. This is a guy who uprooted his life when his dad passed away, and he moved back to take care of his mom. He bought his parents' house, and he takes care of his mom, who's in her 90s. She's 94. She still watches the Bruins and, loves watching hockey with them and everything like that. But, you wonder how people are that you only see on air. Like, are they good people off the air? Like, it's a really, really good person who's taking care of his mom, who's doing great. But, to do that when you're in the, like Butchie just raised a bunch of kids and his kids are now off in the real world. Like, this would normally be your time to like go do whatever. You've made a ton of money. Like, you have freedom in your work schedule, but he bought his mom's house. He's completely remodeling it. He's setting all of his children up for future success. And he takes care of his mother every day. He makes her dinner, makes her bread. Like, it's honestly incredible. And I've gotten to know his kids over the years. And I always joke, I'm one of a bunch of brothers, and we talk about how my younger brother was the one who, like, the black sheep. And there's usually a few that are, stay on the straight and narrow. And then there's one that wiggles off the path. And with Butchie, like, all three of his kids are absolute rock stars. So testament to him and the guy he is. You all know how much I love him. We work together. We're super tight, but it's cool to see what he does for his family on a day-to-day basis. So that's why we're talking about the remodel and the porch and all that stuff. And hopefully he's okay with me sharing all that. But he's a good man. He's a really good man.
Yeah, no, he's the best. But nothing but kind to me ever since I met him and ever since we started doing this show. But we got to transition into a order of business here. We got to go to our Ninja Crispy hot take for today. So it's going to be a little bit of I don't know if it's not necessarily like a betting one. We're going to just talk about the series, but let's get into our Ninja Crispy hot take presented by the Ninja Crispy 4-in-1 portable glass air fryer.
Meet the first of its kind, the Ninja Crispy portable cooking system. The power of a full-sized air fryer in the palm of your hand, so you can cook big or small batches. Just prep it, crisp it, serve it, and store it all in one.
It's an all-in-one system that includes a 4-quart, 6-cup Tupperware glass container and 2 storage lids. The Ninja Crispy is thermal shock resistant and can go from frozen to crispy in minutes. With the Crispy Power Pod, you get the power of a full-size air fryer in the palm of your hands. The 4-quart container fits 4 pounds of chicken or veggies. You can cook a personal-sized meal in 7 minutes in the 6-cup container with max crisp, bake, air fry, and re-crisp. With the Ninja Crispy, you can prep, cook, and store anything from crispy favorites to one-dish meals. So visit their website in the link in the description and stay tuned for a chance to win a free Ninja Crispy for one of our lucky fans. And again, like I preface this, I don't know how hot of a take this really is, but with how things have gone with Winnipeg on the road, it probably is one. But I say Winnipeg wins this series. I think they come back. I think they win Game 6 on the road. And I think they find a way to get it done on home ice. And I say that because not only did Connor Hellebuyck play well last night, not only did the Jets completely shut down Dallas, but Colby, the one thing we talked about the other day on Wednesday was that Winnipeg had been shit on the power play. They were 1 for 16 at that point. Last night, their power play comes up with 2 goals on 5 chances.
First 5 on 3 they've gotten in the playoffs too.
But that's what they needed to get going too, right? Your power play feels it. That's contagious. Going into Game 6, maybe that doesn't necessarily carry over, but that was an area where they were losing, lacking, and giving momentum to Dallas. Sometimes power plays can give you momentum, but sometimes they can also take it away from you.
All of them. All of it.
So I feel like Winnipeg might actually find a way to win this series. I do. And I guess that probably is a hot take. I don't know. What do you think? This one didn't seem as spicy as the ones we've had previously, but
I think it's a hot take because there's just no way Dallas is going to lose 3 games in a row to me. Like that means Winnipeg comes and wins 3 games in a row, 1 on the road. I just don't see it. So, but my picks have been dreadful this year. So, I mean, maybe that's a good thing for you if you're hoping to see the Winnipeg Jets climb back into the series.
And Vic just said too, like the Pete DeBoer Game 7 thing, you're putting that up against Winnipeg at home. Pete DeBoer's 9-0 in his career in Game 7s. if he's got to play another one in like that's a storyline right there too, right? Like,
yeah, I don't
crazy.
think it gets to 7. I think Dallas is going to close him out. I really do. I just Winnipeg has given me no reason to think that that they're going to go into Dallas and win a hockey game. I mean, if they do great, but they've given us absolutely no reason to think that they will, and so that's why I don't think that it's likely that that's going to happen.
Did they only lose the one game did they only lose game 1 at home of the first round? Is it the only home game they've lost?
Vic,
I believe so, right?
You can.
Yeah, I think game 1 against Colorado is the only home game that they lost, if I'm correct.
Okay.
Or maybe game 4 they lost. I don't know. I'm blanking.
You'd have to get to the results and show me what the actual results are.
Yes, Tommy, after last night, I'll say it again. This is sarcastic, so please don't, whatever. Dallas is cooked again.
Yeah. All right. I want to talk a little bit about yesterday's episode and I want to talk about the fact that, I think yesterday was probably our most viewed episode of all time. Up over 10,000 views on YouTube alone yesterday. And so, 445 likes on the episode. We had 75 comments. Some comments, a lot of you loved Jackie, and we hear you. Maybe we have to talk to Jackie about being a reoccurring weekly guest next year. That's definitely something we can talk about. Obviously, you guys really liked hearing from her. And so, I want to thank you guys for that. The other thing is I've challenged you guys to help us get to 30,000 subscribers on YouTube. So we had a huge jump yesterday. We are 11 subscribers away from getting to 28,000 on the head. We started this week at 27,600, and we're 11 away from picking up getting it, basically gaining 400 subscribers on the Daily Faceoffs YouTube this week. So hopefully we can push over the line here, and we can get to 28,000 by the end of the day. And then starting tomorrow, once we get to 28,100, we need less than 2,000 to get to that 30 number. Like that seems really, really doable. So we can't do that stuff without you guys. You guys are the best. I'm trying to think. There was a couple of comments that I wanted to talk about that were left on the YouTube stream. Like I said, a lot of Jackie comments. Brandon, I did see your comment, Brandon Whitley, about Rick Tocchet. Was reportedly offered 4 out of 4 for 4 in Vancouver, so he went to Philly for money. I don't think this was a financially driven decision, because I think when it came to Vancouver, I think they were going to do whatever it took to sign him if he wanted to be there. I think that was a starting point. I think Rick Tocchet could have pretty much called his shot to stay there within reason. I think that he was leaving Vancouver no matter what. And I think he was coming to Philadelphia probably no matter what, because of all the historical context to coming back to the team that drafted you to coach. But I also think one thing people are missing with this whole Rick Tocchet thing, people that are against it or negative about Rick Tocchet, is that, by the way, Tocchet couldn't have made even more with broadcasting. You're not making more than $5.25 million a year working for TNT. Like, I don't even think Gretzky is making that type of money. We're not talking about Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal here. But what I would say here is that, and I think Al Morganti talked about this yesterday in some form of media. And Al Morganti's a Hockey Hall of Famer. He's covered hockey for 1,000,000 years, literally. You got to realize something. Rick Tocchet helps you become more of a free agent destination if you're the Philadelphia Flyers. And with Torts, you weren't a free agent destination. You just weren't. That the Flyers being a destination, like Florida teams, Vegas, teams with no state income tax seem to be the free agent destinations right now. Rick Tocchet helps with recruiting and with bringing big name players in. And that's a piece that I don't think anybody's talking about quite enough with that whole hire. So that was one comment I saw yesterday in the YouTube. Johnny, I laughed pretty hard. There was a comment that said the Leafs look like Mercyhurst in Game 5. I don't know if that was a shot.
I didn't see that.
Ty WW9LQ said that.
That's a compliment to us.
I didn't know if that was a shot at you from your Mercyhurst days.
What else could that possibly be?
There was a lot of there was a lot of Marner conversation in the comments yesterday. There was some pushback saying Jack Eichel should be getting as much heat as Austin Matthews, which again, I don't agree with that because Jack Eichel has won a Stanley Cup and has carried his team. I don't think those are things that are comparable. And then, some people.
And Jack Eichel makes $10 million.
Yeah, I mean, listen, and he'll probably make a hell of a lot more on his next contract. Yeah. He's probably going to get to $13 million on his next contract, right? So, so anyways, we appreciate all the comments. We went through them. We talked about them. Help us get that subscriber count to that 28,000 number by the end of the day. That would be awesome. Keep sharing the episode. Keep giving us likes on these episodes. Keep giving us the comments. It means everything to the show. So, Johnny, I know we still got to do Bet365 and then we're going to end the week on that note, but we do appreciate all you guys do for us with this show. Yesterday to see 10,000 views on our YouTube. I mean, this show is barely over a year old, right? We started in January last year. So we're still young in this process. We're getting thousands and thousands of downloads on a day on podcasts. And I know a lot of you guys probably have automatic downloads on and you're here live with us. So we're grateful to all that stuff. Right. And we really couldn't do this stuff without you. So Johnny, I'll let you get to Bet365 unless you want to tack on to what I said, but I did want to take a minute. It is Friday and reiterate what you guys mean to this show.
Yeah, and I'll add to that too. Just going to Ice Gloob's comment, because he's been saying this all week. He wants a Discord to be made for our chat. Colby, I don't think you're familiar with what Discord is. It's just like a separate platform you can use to have like a big group chat, basically. So if that is something that is of interest, I don't know how to set one up, but Ice Gloobs, if you want to DM me and like show me how to set it up, we can make it happen, and then we could have like a offline chat for everyone in our chat to communicate throughout the playoffs, the day, and then we can bring that into our show the following day if that's something that you guys would be interested in. I can't promise that I'll check it and contribute a ton, just because I feel like I'm on my phone already way too much and I want to be off my phone a little bit more. I can promise you that Colby will not be participating in the Discord. But
that's not necessarily true. Like if I'm laying there at night, once I put my kids to bed and I want to,
you don't even answer me. You're going to answer a group chat of people.
Yeah, probably not answering you is a totally different thing. I mean, last night I was disappointed as I was up late in the game and Vic stopped responding to me because he fell asleep. So
I wasn't really responding either though last night.
Well, but I wasn't texting the group chat. I was just texting Vic. So I just was disappointed because I wanted someone to talk to because I was up way later than I normally am.
And honestly, we don't even need to be included if it's something that like the chat just want. Yeah, like Ice just said, we don't even need you there, Johnny. We want to talk to each other, not you. Like that's totally cool too. Like if you guys want to talk, like
so, Johnny, why don't you set that up and then help me get an account and get set up for that as well? Because like we'll listen. I will sign up and be in the group. I have no. I have no issues with reading and contributing like I do to the comments. Can't hold us to it every single day, every single minute, but we'll get involved. There's no doubt we won't get involved in it.
Every Discord I've just ever been in has just been so annoying. but
I mean, I'd never heard of it. I honestly, when I kept seeing this Discord thing, I had no idea what anybody was talking about.
It's just like a big group. It's like, you remember GroupMe, the app GroupMe? You never had GroupMe, really?
No.
It's kind of like GroupMe, but we'll make it happen. So Ice Gloobs just DM me and we'll set it up, and then I'll tweet out a link for everybody to join.
I used to be in a WhatsApp group chat with the Flyers Warriors guys, but one of the guys got thin skin because I was giving him too much shit, and he took me out of the Flyers Warriors group chat because he said it's players only. So I used to be in a group chat, but that was on WhatsApp. Now it's just my normal group chats where like Reamer and some of those guys text me about goofy things that you say on the internet, and that those are the only group chats I'm in now.
And MY Marine said Johnny's unaware you can just silence notifications. No, I'm fully aware, but it's still pretty. I don't know. It's just for me.
I have the only notifications that actually pop up on the screen of my phone are text messages and like missed calls. I don't get notifications for emails. I don't get notifications for like any social media apps. Like I have all that shit turned off.
Well, that's weird because every time I tweet, within 2 minutes of my tweets, you send them to me and call me a loser.
Because people send them
to
me.
Are you just constantly refreshing?
People send me your tweets. The amount of people that send me your tweets. Vic sends me your tweets.
I've been a little bit quieter lately, I feel like.
On Twitter?
I've been trying not to post as much.
Well, because the Rangers are out.
Yeah. All right, wrap the show up. I just wanted to address the Discord comment because, listen, we love you guys and we take pride in really using the chat for our show. I know a lot of other shows have a chat, but I don't know how many of them actually go to it as much as we do. You know, Colby and I reiterate it all the time. We feel like you guys make our show and make it so fun every day. And I joke that I talk to a bunch of people that I've actually never really met in person more than I talk to my own friends. So, you know, I love you guys. And, you know, if the Discord's something that everybody wants, we will make it happen. So Ice Clubs did DM me. I see it on my phone here. I'll get to it right after the show ends and I'll pass it over. Oh, no, we didn't do Bet365 yet, right?
Waiting for you to do 365.
We started that. All right, sorry. I got distracted. So tonight's Bet365, bet of the night. If you want to get in on the action for Stanley Cup Playoffs at Bet365, they've got you from game props, player props, totals, and the money line. You can even bet on futures like series winners, conference champions, and the Stanley Cup champions, and much, much more. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. So download the app and get in on the game, an official partner of the Stanley Cup Playoffs. You must be 19 or older. And tonight, I will do the Maple Leafs fans and Panthers fans a favor and not take a side. So we're going to go with the under 5.5, minus 105. Sergei Bobrovsky's been great in the last 2 games. Can rely on him to play well tonight and can rely on the Panthers to smother Toronto. Don't see Toronto exploding offensively in this game. If anything, to me, this feels like a 2-1, 3-2, 2-0, like one of those low-scoring games. So I'll rely on both goalies tonight, even Joseph Wall after the tough performance the other night. But going with the under 5.5 in this game tonight. So rooting for a pretty boring game. What is everybody laughing at?
No, nothing.
I see you laughing. I see David.
Well, I'm laughing at David Naraki in the chat. He's one of our Warriors guys, and he knows he was in the group chat too. The one that I got booted from. So that's probably
really?
that's probably. So then we made our own group chat. Rock's my boy.
Yeah.
He's one of my guys from the Warriors. He's a defenseman, and I always tell him he's the most low maintenance, trustworthy defenseman we have on our Warriors team. Never got to worry about him. Just he's a defensive stalwart. He's never roaming. He's never trying to get up in the play. So he's laughing. He's a good man. You know, he's a good man. He gave great service to this country, and he's a good human being. So we love you guys. We hope everybody has a great weekend. We hope that the games are enjoyable. We might even end up with like a night off from hockey this weekend. There might not be. We might run into a situation because some of the series are dwindled down, right?
Well, no, we have a game tonight. We definitely have a game Saturday. It's Sunday that we're unsure of, I guess.
There might not. If this Toronto series, when Florida takes Toronto out tonight, then that'll mean, Florida. Yeah. If Florida wins tonight, then Sunday would end up no game. So maybe an opportunity for people to take a deep breath and have a night. I don't think a night to breathe and to miss it is the worst thing, right? No. Like imagine if you have 2 days off in the playoffs, you're really clamoring for more hockey. So we hope everybody has a great weekend. Stay safe out there, Johnny. Hopefully you got big things planned, and you're gonna take good care of your girl this weekend. Maybe you'll even by Monday you'll even have a girlfriend. We'll see about that. So we hope everybody enjoys themselves. Thanks for a great week. Thanks for a great week of audience. Keep hitting that like button on your way out the door. Hit the subscribe button out the door. And that's all we got.
You're gonna throw that at the end.
That's all we got. We hope everybody has a great weekend. We'll see you all Monday morning, 9 a.m.
What's up, hockey fans? If you enjoyed that video, then you need to be hitting the subscribe button right here at Daily Faceoff. Exclusive interviews and analysis from our hockey insider Frank Saravalli, fantasy updates from Brock Sagan, and a daily live show at noon Eastern Monday through Friday. You don't want to miss any of the fantastic content, so hit that subscribe button.